Hello everyone and welcome to Daily News Simplified, your one-stop solution to detailed analysis of current affairs which are published in the daily edition of the Hindu newspaper. Articles dated 21st of February 2023 are listed on your screen, and the timestamping along with the notes in PDF and Word format are given in the description box. So let us begin with the first article for the day. This article of the Hindu newspaper appeared on page 10 and talks about the upcoming visit to be made by Giorgio Meloni, Prime Minister of Italy, on the sidelines of Raisina Dialogue. Now, Raisina Dialogue is one of the largest platform to conduct the geopolitical and geo-economic meeting between different stakeholders in the international diplomacy. The name is termed after the Raisina, where India's president's residence is located. Now, she is going to be the part of this dialogue, and in the meanwhile, India and Italy are going to sign various agreements, especially in respect to the defense cooperation. Now, why we are talking about defense in detail over here? The reason is that there was a controversy with respect to the VVIP helicopters from a company named Augusta. And because of this corruption-led scam which came up during the period of the previous government, UPA 2 in 2010, there were the cancellation and the ban which was imposed on certain companies which are located in the defense sector from Italy. The upcoming defense pact is going to find out a new avenue in India and Italy defense relationship. But beyond that, we are going to look into multiple dimensions as far as India's bilateral relations with other countries is concerned from the perspective of GS Paper 2. This is also important under the international groupings and institutions, because today we are going to talk about the MTCR, which has a bitter relation and historical aspect between both these countries. So today in the content we are going to talk about the historical linkages between the two nations, their political, economic, defense and outstanding issues, as well as what measures have been taken till now with respect to the improvement of bilateral relationship. As far as IR related questions are concerned, so in 2018 and 19 back-to-back two nations related bilateral questions were asked by the UPSC in GS paper 2. The first one was with respect to Japan, the second one was with respect to Israel. Now let's start with the historical linkages first. So as far as both these countries are concerned, so they shared the common history with respect to the development of basic languages or the classical languages, Sanskrit and Latin. Both these languages belong to the Indo-European language family. As you can see, these are the basic classification of Indo-European families, and here you can find out Italy as well as Indian languages including Hindi, Urdu, Bengali, Marathi and many others. So both of them find out their basic origin from the Indo-European families. The second historical linkages lies with the ancient bilateral trade. You must have read about it, that Indian empires, especially from the South India, had good trading relations with the Roman empires. So we used to send out spices and we used to get a lot of gold. If you go by the basic standards of the map, you can easily see that this is how the spice trade was taking place. So from India itself, there were multiple routes from where these spices were going on. Two of them were through the ocean, one going from all the way to the Persian Gulf, the other one going from the Red Sea. The red zones, the red line shows the land trade. So as you can see, this is the Silk Route, the previous Silk Route from where silk was traded, but here also we had a good linkages through the transfer of spices. And through this, we had a contact with the Roman Empire in Italy. The other important historical event include the coming up of Venetian, that is from the Venice, a merchant named Marco Polo who visited India in 13th century. Now, if we go by the basic route which he took, so he started from the Italy, that is Venice. He went all the way through the Silk Route to the Eastern Asia. From there, also from China, he started taking the sea route, and while going back through the sea route, he landed in India. So he was one of the first European to find out a small land and ocean connection to India from East Asia. The other important rule is that Rajputana rifles and Gorkha rifles were involved from the British Empire to defend Italian empires in World War II. So as you can see, these were the Gorkha regiments, and this is your Rajput regiment, which were involved in fighting to defend Italian empires from the German invasion, and as well as to strengthen the Allied powers in the World War II. The next important historical aspect is that 10th Indian Division took part in East African Allied campaign against Italians. So this is one of the area where Indians were fighting against Italians, against their imperialism and colonialism in Somaliland and Abyssinians. If you go by the basic map, so on the left side you can see this is the basic map. The yellow shaded portion shows the area which was under the imperial control of Italy. Indian troops participated over here for the liberation of these important countries, and today you can see Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia and many independent countries were created after the decolonization. Even Rome has attracted millions of Indian Christians, because Indian Christians, especially from the land of Portuguese colonies or the French colonies, that is Goa, Puducherry and many others, they have attracted hundreds and thousands of Indian Christians who go on a pilgrimage to the Vatican City in Rome. Now beyond this, there are other relations which have evolved after India's independence. The first one is the political relationship. So soon after India got the independence, they created a direct diplomatic relations in the year 1947 with Italy. In the year 1953, our first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru paid a bilateral visit to the country. Italy-India Parliamentary Friendship Association has already been created, where Indian parliamentarians along with the Italian parliamentarians are discussing on the important legislative matters. Both these countries are involved in multiple geopolitical organizations such as G20, International Solar Alliance, United Nations Security Council for the non-permanent membership, and even for CDRI, that is Coalition for Disaster Resilience Infrastructure. Not only on the political returns, but even on the economic front, both the countries are working well. To start with, Italy is one of India's top 5 trading partners as far as EU is concerned or European Union is concerned. Balance of trade, however, is in India's favor since 1980s, and most of the important items include, that is items from India, are garments, leather, iron ore, that is the raw iron ore, motor vehicles, textiles, chemicals, gems and jewelry. As far as imports are concerned, so it includes machinery, machine tools, metallurgy, automobiles and engineering items. The most important one here is the automobile. You must have seen about the sports car such as Lamborghini or Ferrari. Both the countries have signed the Joint Economic Commission. Now this is important. This commission has been very active in providing the ease of business between both these countries. Similar commission or JEC have been formed with respect to other countries as well, where India is looking for the expansion of its bilateral trade. We have also created an Indo-Italian high-level dialogue on the economic relationship in order to reduce down the barriers among the trade. And Italy has been ranked 18th in terms of the foreign direct investment coming in India in the last 2 decades, which is a quite low number. Now, as far as these 3 relations are concerned, India seems to be doing well. But when it comes to the defense and security relations, there are certain hurdles which we are going to look into in much detail. However, as far as cooperation in smaller areas are concerned, so in terms of defense, Indian naval ship Tabor conducted a defense exercise in Italy. This is INS Tabor. It's a frigate which went to the Mediterranean Sea and conducted a joint naval exercise with the Italian forces. India and Italy have also been together conducting the naval exercises when India participated with the European Union on the joint naval exercise. India, along with Japan and Italy, are framing a trilateral Indo-Pacific region strengthening or strategy, because all these 3 countries are looking into to deepen their presence in the Indo-Pacific region, given what China is doing through its Belt and Road Initiative. Both the countries have conducted cultural exchange programs, especially the exchange of the students. There are institutions which are teaching Hindi and Sanskrit to the Italian students. They are now celebrating International Yoga Day, and Indian community in Italy is estimated to be around 2.5 lakh of the person of the Indian origin, which includes the people who had their roots from the Indian forefathers. Now, based on this important relationship, it seems that the relation between both these countries are more or less cordial. However, there are certain issues that have been cropping up in the last 2-3 decades. The most important one was the Italian Marine case. Now, about a decade ago, these two Italian Marines who belonged to the Italian forces killed Indian fishermen in the exclusive economic zone. So they were arrested by the Indian forces, and soon they were arrested. There was a bitter relationship between India and Italy. This case was taken to the Permanent Court of Arbitration, where India actually lost the case. So this is your Permanent Court of Arbitration, where India lost its case. Permanent Court of Arbitration suggested that Indian criminal laws will not be applied on the security related personals from Italy, hence India should release them. So India released them after losing this case. However, PCA, that is Permanent Court of Arbitration, at the same time commented that Indians are eligible to get the compensation from the Marines. So after the entire ruling out of this case, India-Italy relations were further improved. The second important issue and challenge between these two countries was when Italy vetoed India on MTCR. Now the reason is simple. In 2015, Italian Marine case was not resolved. So Italy was actually frustrated with India that how India could actually arrest its Marines. India was going by the human criteria that if a person murdered the other person, they should be brought to justice. But international laws could not allow India to do so. So Italy took a revenge and vetoed India's entry into missile technology and control regime, where India was looking to be an important partner. Now, what is MTCR? MTCR is an informal political understanding. It is not a treaty. Please remember that. It is not a treaty. It is a multilateral export control regime. Now, please understand this through an example. Let's say there are three countries, country A, country B, and country C. So this country A has a missiles and this country B require that particular missile. But A and B does not want C to know about this export import or even the technology that is used to create this missile. So they will have a bilateral treaty. However, C will be left out. Why? Because the nation C is strategically very, very weak. It has certain human rights violation. It might be mushrooming the terrorist organization. That is the reason why Pakistan is not part of MTCR. So what now has happened that C, let's say, was India. India was not considered to be safe with respect to the missile technology by the member countries of this organization. Now, India has been allowed, India has joined this organization in 2016 as a regular member. So previously it had 34 members, including India, it now has 35 members. It was created in 1987 by the G7 countries. However, according to the many critics, it is the purposeful organization because these 34 countries wanted to keep their expensive missile technology to themselves so that this technology can give them monetary returns. As far as MTCR is concerned, so Italy tried to keep hurdles to India not to enter MTCR just because India could not release the Marines on the wishes of Italy. After coming into the MTCR, India was able to buy high technology or high-end missile technology with Russia, and that is the reason why India could create more heavy BrahMos missile with collaboration to Russia. This MTCR actually restrict the proliferation or the spread of missile, rocket systems, unmanned aerial vehicles or UAV or their related technology with a condition that they should carry a payload of 500 kgs up to 300 km. For example, if there is a missile system, let's say BrahMos, which has a total range of 250 kilometers and can carry up to 300 kgs of warhead, then that is not going to be under the MTCR. Now the purpose was to not spread the idea of weapons of mass destruction. Now in 2015, as we have discussed, Italy tried to block India's entry just to take a revenge on Italian marine case. After India's resolution on the marine case, Italy actually helped India to get its membership. The second reason was that India also signed and joined the Hague Code of Conduct on how to deal with ballistic missile system non-proliferation arrangement. So India actually proved that it is a peaceful nation and it is looking for the missile technology for the deterrence purpose and not for the aggressive purpose. And India's entry not only brought best of the technology available across the world, it also made India one of the important nations overpowering and overcoming China, because China is not a member to MTCR as of now. So this was a diplomatic edge and diplomatic victory for India. The third issue was that Italy has blamed India for the human rights violation. First of all, in the case of Italian marine case, it has also raised in the past fingers on India's approach in the Kashmir issue. And the last issue which was there between these two countries was the corruption case with respect to Augusta Westland VVIP helicopter deal. In the previous government, that is the UPA 2, there was a case which was registered with respect to the corruption in the buying out of the Augusta Westland VVIP helicopters. Now, Indian government was supposed to buy these helicopters for the VVIP movement. However, there was a case that Indians paid bribe or the commission to the Augusta Westland company in order to fund the elections in Italy. Now, these are the important allegations which are yet to be declared and yet to be brought to justice. However, these are the four issues that were challenging between these two countries. Now, the question is, what should be the way forward in the future in order to improve the relation between these two nations? The first one is that security challenges such as Augusta Westland deal or the Indian marine case should be taken up outside the mainstream cooperation. So these security challenges should not be brought as the mainstream. They should be dealt separately. Because as we have seen in the case of India's entry to the MTCR, that Italy tried to keep it as a more personal case rather than the diplomatic case. The second is new areas of cooperation should be looked into by both these countries so they can cooperate each other on the climate change, like they have been the partner of International Solar Alliance. They should stand by the WTO reforms. Both these nations should tap the potential of foreign direct investment, because India is a country which has demographic demand and dividend. So India can provide more avenues and the returns to the FDI of Italy. They should engage with each other more on the different platforms such as G7 and G20. They should look more into the development of renewable energy, because this is the area where India can provide a huge demand to the Italian firms. They should also include the expansion of the cooperation in the areas where they have the expertise. So automobile is the one, because Italy is known for the sports car. India is known for the economic and budget affordable cars. So they can exchange the technologies, they can exchange the market potential of each other. And lastly, whatever deals are there between these two countries should be based on the transparency so as to avoid the corruption related cases in future. With this discussion in place, now I'm going to leave you with an important practice question in this regard. The question says that India and Italy have gone through multiple challenges in the past. So you have to identify all the challenges that we have discussed today. Not only that, the question asks that yet they have developed a strong strategic bilateral relationship. Now here you have to comment that how they have built such a strong bilateral relationship despite those challenges. You have to answer this question in 150 words. With this discussion, please let us now move to the next article for the day. This article of the Hindu newspaper appeared on page 7 as a part of editorial. It says that Supreme Court has recently rejected a petition which was filed and which asked to increase the legal marriage age for the women from 18 to 21. And on this, Supreme Court has argued that it is the responsibility of the Parliament to amend the laws and not the Supreme Court. Now, from this matter, it is important to understand the status of child marriages in India Why do we need to raise these marital age? And will the increase in the age of the women is going to bear any important results as of now? So let's start the discussion with respect to understanding about the child marriage. Now, child marriage refers to the marriage to which either, please understand, this is not gender biased, it is either of the contracting parties is a child. Now, marriage is a contract, as you know. So, either of the contracting party is child or both of them are child, in which male has not completed 21 years of age and female has not completed 18 years of age. So if a male is, let's say, 20 years old and female is 17-year-old, that is going to be called as child marriage. However, that male member is going to be eligible for the voting right. And this is the topmost issue with respect to how adult is defined in India. Now, as per the Indian Penal Code, now children are getting involved in the heinous crimes in which they are now termed to be adult for the age of 16. Now 16 for crime, 18 for voting and 21 for marriage has now created an issue in the entire country. Now today we are going to discuss about that how the data have been showing the trend of child marriages in India, how the prohibition of child marriages is taking up in India, whether the planning is ending in the right direction or not, and if we are going to reduce down the age with respect to the marriage or equalize the age of male and female by increasing the age of female, is it going to bring the positive impact to the child marriages in India or not? So as far as National Family Health Survey is concerned, India as of now have 24 million child brides, that is 2.4 crore females in India who were married at the age younger to 18. So according to this survey, 40% of world's child marriages takes place in India. It was around 47.4% in 2005 and 6, which is almost like half of the females in India were getting married before the age of 18. This has reduced down in just 10 years to 26.8%, and in next 5 years it reduced down by almost 3.5%. As you can see, the last 5 years have been quite limited in respect to the success on reducing the child marriages prevalence, and gradually it is going to be lesser and lesser because of the base effect. Now reduction from 23.3% to let's say 5% is going to take time, but here the largest section would be with respect to the tribal reduction. Tribal practices in India and especially tribal states in India have been showing the largest prevalence of child marriages at the age which is very, very young. For example, in states across India, girls are more subjected to child marriages than boys. And in majority of the cases, tribal states have shown the largest share of child marriages. For example, it is around 32% in the state of Jharkhand. But there is a good sign. Some states like Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, which shares one of the highest populations of tribal even in the absolute terms, have shown a good sign of improvement. There was almost 9% decrease in the percentage in Madhya Pradesh and almost 10% in the state of Rajasthan. And all these have proved to be very, very promising. Now, when we talk about the reasons for poverty, now these are the basic reasons. If a question is asked with respect to child marriages in your GS paper 1 in society section or even in GS paper 2 with respect to the vulnerable section, these are the possible reasons which you can write. Now, as far as poverty is concerned, so poverty is very high in India. As far as multidimensional poverty index is concerned, so still a large section of India's population is under poverty. And it is in some of the states, it is even higher till the 20%. That is 1 out of every 5 member is under poverty. Then comes the patriarchy setup, where it is considered that if a girl is married at a young age, she will be secure in the society, or if she is not married, she will be subjected to the social issues and even social ostracization. Then comes the social mobility. So movement of a single girl child from a place to the other, even for the employment or for the education level, is very, very limited. Social setup in India is such that movement of a single girl child or movement of an unmarried girl is considered to be taboo, and it goes against the familial rules. Then comes the insecurity among the family members and the parents. They does not want her girl child to go and have relations of their own. Avoiding share in the ancestral property, because as she is going to become an adult, she might ask or might go for the demand of share in the ancestral property. So getting her married and putting her in the hands of her husband would prevent any such demand. Dropout ratio and low literacy rate among the tribal sections of India is one of the most important reason behind the child marriages, because girls in Indian tribal regions are not enough literate to identify pros and cons of child marriages. They are not exposed to the international literature. They are not exposed to the higher level of human development. So they are not able to make a balanced decision at their own. Then comes the legal conundrum. So as we have talked about, there's an issue with respect to the age. Different age in different laws makes it more cumbersome to identify the child marriages. And the top of all, the most important legal aspect is that a child marriage can only be cancelled if the contracting party complains within a stipulated time. So government cannot cancel a child marriage on its own. The consequences of child marriages are as follows. First is the poverty. Child marriages are linked to the higher household poverty. Taking out girls as child bride take away their access to education, limit their opportunities to even earn the income. So when they are not earning the income, the family income remains limited only under the hand of a male member, and that's how it ends up in the poverty regions. Then comes the hunger. So poverty ultimately leads to the hunger. So children born to the adolescent mothers are having more possibility of being stunted and wasted. They have low weight at birth also. According to the National Family Health Survey 5, it is almost 35% even in 2021. And the last one is that there is a gender inequality. Because of the higher share of patriarchy in Indian society, there is gender inequality and gender biasness, in which the child marriages often lead to poor health of females, no education at all, and limited employment ability. It has rarely seen that a child bride is going to get the education in their in-laws' house. So what are the biggest problem? The biggest problem, the challenge to the prevention of child marriage, is the confusion of what is the legal age. And the second is the public perception. So today we are going to discuss more in detail about this confusion and what government has done, what different committees have suggested in this regard, and then we will look into the way forward with respect to the public perception. As far as legislation is concerned, in order to increase the age from 18 to 21, government will go for amending some of the marriage related acts, which include Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006, Special Marriage Act, which is constituted in order to provide marriages to the people belonging to different religions. It will also amend some of the provisions in Hindu Marriage Act and other in order to bring a uniformity. This could be seen as a first beginning towards providing the Uniform Civil Code, which is mentioned in the Constitution under Directive Principles of State Policy. The different laws in India which deals with the age of marriages are as follows. Under Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006, a child is defined as a person if a male not completed the age of 21, if female age of 18. The Special Marriage Act also calls for the same ages for male and female. Child Marriage Restraint Act 1929, popularly known as Sharda Act, had this age limited to 16 and 18 respectively. However, in 1978, it was prescribed at 18 and 21 respectively, and it was increased henceforth. For Hindus, the Hindu Marriage Act 1955 was amended and set the minimum age for women to be 18 years. For Indian Christian Marriage Act 1872, the age prescribed to be 21 and 18 respectively for male and female. However, when it comes to Islam, the marriage of minor who is attained at puberty is considered to be valid. Here, age of a person is not a matter of consent. So the consent of marriage is limited to the puberty of a girl child. When it comes to the report submitted by the committee, well, this committee was headed by Jaya Jatin, and this committee was constituted to examine the matters related or pertaining to the age of motherhood.
Basically, this committee was not there to examine whether a woman should be allowed to marry at 21 or not. The committee was looking into the matter that if a lady is married at the age of 18, 19, 20, is that person capable to go for motherhood? Because once a girl is married at 18, it is most likely that she will get pregnant at the age of 19 or maybe at the age of 20. So this committee was formed to look into the matter that whether a woman at this young age is capable to bear a child or not. If yes, how, and if no, how. This committee also looked into the measures to lower the maternal mortality rate and improve the nutritional level and related issues. So committee has suggested that there should be a decision to increase the age of marriage of girl, but not with the consent to reduce the population but to empower the women. Because at the age of 21 or even above that, a woman will be more empowered. Most specifically, she will be empowered on the basis of education. Because by this age, a woman would be educated or would be a graduate. The committee also went into the finding the correlation of age of marriage and the motherhood with respect to health, medical well-being, nutritional status and others. The committee also looked into the parameters such as IMR, MMR, total fertility rate, sex ratio, child sex ratio and others, which we have already discussed in the previous DNS. The committee on its recommendation has highlighted from the data submitted by the National Family Health Survey, and they have shown that India's total fertility rate is already decreasing, which is a positive sign. The committee has also argued on the basis of the data that India has attained a total fertility rate of 2.0 for the first time, and this is shown by the NFHS 5. But the real concern lies in the fact that the same survey shows that the child marriage over the period of last 5 to 6 years has come down only 4% in India, despite rising the education of women and despite rising the health indicators of women in the country. So why the child marriages are not showing the result or desirable result in the country is a matter of concern, and this is one of the reasons why government is also thinking to increase the age of women to improve her empowerment. Now the point is, why government and the committee is looking into this matter? Well, there are certain problems with the children who were born to mother of younger age. A study which was conducted by IFPRI in 2019 shows that children who were born to mother between the age of 10 to 19, which is just nothing but a teen age, and these children are more likely to be stunted than the children who were born to a more elder mothers. These children will have 10% more higher prevalence of low weight. And because of this, IFPRI has suggested that there should be a proposal to increase the age of first marriage, age at first birth, and girls' education in order to improve empowerment of women and her health. Now, what are the challenges that government may face while increasing the marriage age for girls? The first issue is the issue of criminalization. So once government increases the age to 21, it will further expand the criminalization and backdoor marriages of girls without the notice of the government. And this was suggested by the National Coalition for Advocating for Adolescent Concerned on the behalf of 21 NGOs. Most of the places in India, especially the rural background, does not have enough services as far as education and healthcare is concerned. Let us assume that there is a village which has a secondary school or a senior secondary school till 12th grade. Now, a girl who has just passed 12th grade at the age of 18 will go without education because she does not have access to college education in the rural areas. And most of the families in the country are so orthodox that they will not allow a girl child to move to a far places or to an urban towns to get more education. And this will further deteriorate the cause of women empowerment. So what we require? Well, according to many NGOs, we require awareness. Awareness through media, awareness through education, awareness through health, awareness through schools and colleges and many other sources in order to tell the people that they should not get their girl child to be married soon because of the health concern, and let their girl child to be empowered and then get her married. The way forward says that legal changes are a welcome step, but they are not the magic wand. They will not change the entire scenario, but they will definitely bring a mental makeup changes in the population of the country. Hence, it should be accompanied by the social reforms to improve the education, healthcare for the adolescent girl in India.
So now we come to the way forward of public perception. The first thing is we should go for moral education in the school itself, right from the, let's say, upper primary class, right from the 6th standard. Students, especially girl child, should be taught about the morality with respect to the child marriages. Pros and cons should become part and parcel of the school teaching. Legal aspect should be included in the school curriculum. Societal support is required. Mass meetings at village level. Role model awareness is required where people of NGOs can move from village to village. They can showcase that how females in Indian society have shown the right path of empowerment and development. They can take the examples of, let's say, top IAS officers, top political leaders, important Indian scientists. They can take the example of even the sports personalities. And role model awareness will help in generating more empowerment among the female child. And the last one is door-to-door awareness, especially in those tribal districts where the child marriage prevalence is very high. With this discussion in place, let us now move to the next article for the day. This article of the Hindu newspaper appeared on page 6 as a part of editorial and talks about the issues with respect to the creation of safe workplace for women in India. The context says that the recent case of allegation of sexual harassment by some of the female sportsperson belonging to the wrestling sport have brought the attention of how women are safe, secure and have rights as far as workplace is concerned. So today we are going to talk about why it is a slow progress in creating a safe workplace for the women. The relevance of this topic is from GS paper 2 from the vulnerable section, GS paper 4 on ethical conduct and corporate governance. In 2021, UPSC had asked a question with respect to the issue of patriarchy, which is acting as a hurdle in the women in the post-independent India and protecting them from excelling in different fields. Sexual harassment related case has already been asked in the ethical case studies by the UPSC previously. Now the point is, according to the author, what is the issue that is keeping it a slow progress as far as women's safety at a workplace is concerned? Now author has highlighted the two important types of harassment. The first is the direct harassment with respect to the sexual harassment, which includes unwelcome act or behavior directly or by implication, physical contact, demand for the sexual favor, making sexual colored remarks, showing pornography, and any other unwelcome physical, verbal or non-verbal conduct. On the context of bringing important legislations to bring down the direct harassment, Government of India has brought multiple legislations, including the reforms in the Indian Penal Code, bringing the law to protect the sexual harassment of women at workplace in 2013, Vishaka guidelines, and even the G.C. Verma committee recommendation. However, what happened is that the slow progress in all these legislation is because of the structural harassment. Now, this is the important key term which was highlighted in the article that you can use even in your mains answer writing. Now, what is structural harassment? Structural harassment is the one where the entire society, entire ecosystem of a girl child, of a woman plays an important role in keeping them down with respect to the opposite gender. The first issue is gender pay gap. So this is also a kind of harassment. The second is the poor access to the education and the health right from their childhood. Then there is gender inequality in terms of the household and the families. You must have seen that girl child is being disregarded. She is being treated unequally with the male child in the family. Then there are legislative differences created for the women. For example, the legal marriage age for girl is 18 while for the boy is 21. And then we have the limited political participation. Like India is one of the country which shows a very low level of women participation as far as legislative assemblies and the parliament is concerned. So all these kind of harassment, be it the structure or the direct harassment, are now working together to reduce down the improvement or to slow down the improvement that we can expect from the important legislative development that was created since 2013. Now let's talk about how these important legislations were created. So according to the Vishaka guidelines, which was given by the Supreme Court under the Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan in 1997 judgment. In this is the case where a Bhavri Devi, a woman, was raped just to stop a child marriage. And that was a shocking case in the state of Rajasthan. And under this case, Supreme Court gave a guidelines in which it says that there are legal binding guidelines to protect the right to equality and dignity of a woman. It talks about creating a complaint committee at a workplace which will look into the sexual harassment case. In 2012, J.S. Verma Committee on Sexual Harassment at Workplace was created, which brought suggestions such as harsher punishment and faster trial in respect to the sexual harassment, because sexual harassment is not only about the act which was done against a woman, it is also, according to the committee, a delay in the justice, a delay in the complaint filing, a delay in the provision of harsher punishment or even the basic punishment given to the culprit also constitute the harassment. It called for the recognition of non-penetrative sexual offences like touching inappropriately, speaking sexual comments, or even showing the obscene material, and also bringing trafficking as an important sector under the harassment and also the armed forces on its ambit. Based on these suggestions, Government of India created Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act 2013 that we are going to look into more details now. And in 2017, Sexual Harassment Electronic Box or SHE box was created to register the complaints online, even for the government and the private employees. Now, as far as this legislation is concerned, so it has categorized the aggrieved woman, the woman who has complaints. This could be a woman working, visiting a workplace, or even the student. Now please understand this. This could be asked by UPSC in the prelims, that who is an aggrieved woman under the sexual harassment case. Even a woman working or visiting a workplace, and even the student or a girl child is covered under this act. They can be domestic worker, regular or temporary worker, working for the remuneration, employed directly or through by any agent, which also calls for the sexual workers. Contract labor, probationer, trainee, or any apprentice in such a manner. Now, any place visited by an employee arising out of or while employment, even the transportation, that is sexual harassment during the transportation, is also included. It covers both organized and the unorganized sector where a woman is working. Now, it brings obligation for the employer, the one who is hiring a woman. An employer here also includes the principal of a school or a college. It prohibits unwelcome behavior at a workplace. It calls for the prevention of sexual harassment through conduction of, let's say, orientation, awareness program, sensitization session, provides detailed framework for the redressal mechanism. It also calls for the ensuring awareness and the orientation. Constitute complaint committees in every workplace and even at the district level for every working woman. It ensures that there should be complaint committees and the members of this committee should be trained, provide annual report, what happened in the respective department, and there should be a district officer to look into the complaints at the local level of those women who are working in the unorganized sector. So based on this, two levels of committees are created. First is the internal complaint committee, which is based on this specific organization, where complaint committee must have 50% representation for the women. So it cannot be a all-man committee talking about the sexual harassment. So 50% of the representation should be from the women. The second level of complaint committee lies at the district level with a district officer, especially for the women who are working in the unorganized sector, so that they can also file complaint against the sexual harassment. Now, based on this entire framework, Government of India was able to reduce down the sexual harassment at workplace. Ultimately, they were able to reduce down the direct harassment. But what about the structural harassment according to the writer? Now, based on this harassment, there are two important repercussions or the outcomes. First, the participation of women in the labor force is highly affected. And the secondly, even if there is an increase in the labor force participation rate or worker population ratio in the last 2-3 years, it remains less when compared to the other member groups or the other countries where it is around 70 to 75%. Now, let me give you a simple example. There are families across India, be it the urban towns or the rural areas, where still family find it hard to send their girl child or even the family members to work in the other places, to work for late nights, not because they have a high patriarchy setup, but they are scared of women working outside, women working in those areas where male dominancy is found. They also are afraid of the sexual crimes which are being reported every day. So these are the factors that also need to be redressed. Law and order should be revamped. More secure places should be reconstructed. Let's start at a family level, creating equality at home, providing social conditioning to the people, creating an environment for the entire family where both boy and a girl should be looked at par. There should be more responsibility to the employer. If they miss on or create any unfriendly setup, or even the complaint committee is not working as per the mandate, they should be brought to justice. There should be fixed goals for each and every participant. Short-term goals should include creating women-friendly infrastructure, for example, CCTV cameras at a workplace, providing conveyance facility to the women to their doorsteps at their houses, or creating such an infrastructure that a woman requires not to work till late night. As far as medium term is concerned, so increasing female participation in the labor force as well as incentive to prevent the dropouts such as maternity leave, providing equal wages for equal work, and even increasing their confidence while working at a particular position. As far as long-term goal is concerned or the final way forward is concerned in this matter, an important aspect is that societal mindset need to be changed. It is not a day or a month job. It will take time. However, it should start at a grassroots level. Syllabus should be gender sensitive at the school level. Health facilities should be provided. Co-ed education should be promoted in order to provide the equality status to the girl child and a boy child and help them to understand the basic limitations and the requirement of each gender. Sex education at the secondary or the senior secondary level or even at the college level can be provided to the respective student so as to sensitize them with respect to the other gender. With all these important legislation, India would be in a position to control the structural harassment where women is finding herself to be more involved than the harassment at a workplace. With this discussion in place, now we come to the end of today's Daily News Simplified. Thank you.